Hey guys, what's up? I'm Clay, and happy Shark Week, everybody. This week, for those of you that don't know, is Shark Week on Discovery Channel. They do different documentaries and stuff on sharks and different stories on why sharks are doing certain things or why they're in certain areas and stuff. But it's really fun, and I enjoy watching Shark Week every year, and I really look forward to it every year. It's one of my favorite weeks of the year, and like I said, it's on Discovery Channel. So in honor of Shark Week, I wanted to do a video on my top 5 favorite shark movies that I've seen. Now obviously I can only do it on ones I've seen and ones that have actually already come out. I can't base it on trailers for new movies or whatever. So I'm gonna do my top 5 favorite shark movies, and there is a lot of shark movies out there, and there's some that aren't as good, there's some that are really good, but these are my top 5 favorite, and you don't have to agree with me, you don't have to like the same movies I do, but these are my favorite. So we'll start with number 5 and we'll work down to my favorite at number 1. So number 5, we have 47 Meters Down. So for those of you that haven't seen this movie, and there is a sequel coming out to it, I think in August, like 3rd or 16th or something like that. It's called 47 Meters Down Uncaged. That is the sequel to 47 Meters Down, I believe. I don't know if they're counting it as a sequel, but it is the second 47 Meters Down movie. But I put 47 Meters Down at number 5 because, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, it's based on these two girls end up going on a trip to, I think it's Mexico or something like that, and they go out on a boat and they go down in a cage. They want to go, diving with sharks, and so they end up going down in the cage, and then I don't want to spoil the movie for you, but they end up 47 meters down, which is why the name of the movie is 47 Meters Down. They get trapped 47 meters underwater, and some things happen. They have to try to get back up to the boat. And again, I'm not going to go into detail because I don't want to spoil the movies for anybody that hasn't seen these movies. So I won't go, in depth with these. But it's basically, I thought it was a good movie for what it was, because it was kind of a different concept than a lot of the other shark movies where you just have, somebody's on a boat and they get attacked by a shark. It's something different because they get trapped underwater and have to try and survive. So it was a unique concept, and I like the movie, and that's why it's at number 5 on my list. Now, number 4 is a movie that came out, I believe, last year. It's called The Meg, starring Jason Statham. This movie was the way I looked at it, I saw it more as like a comedy type of movie rather than a serious shark movie. But it did have its good parts, and it was, for the most part, realistic to sharks in terms of either facts or the way that sharks behave or whatever. And it's based on the Megalodon shark, which is the largest known shark to have ever existed. And it's extinct now, but this movie is saying, like, what if it's not extinct? And so it's a pretty good movie how they based it off of the Megalodon instead of just a regular shark like most movies do. But again, you had some scenes that were too funny to be a shark movie. So that's why it's at number 4 on my list, because of the funny aspect of it, rather than it being a serious shark movie like I like to watch. If I put in a shark movie, or if I turn on a shark movie, I want to watch, I want that kind of serious, like, what's gonna happen, that like, that mentality that somebody's gonna get attacked or something bad is gonna happen. I don't want like a comedy type of thing like the Meg was. But overall, it was still a good movie, and it had a unique concept of them being underwater in an underwater like laboratory. So that was kind of neat to see how they had all this like new technology and stuff in the movie. So that's why I like it, and that's why it's in my top 5 favorite shark movies. Now number 3 is kind of an older one. I don't know when it came out exactly, but it stars Halle Berry, and it's called Dark Tide. Now this movie basically was that her and a couple of her friends and stuff were, I guess they were like scientists or whatever, and they end up going in the water and they have to investigate shark attacks, and then, you know, people get attacked, and like all shark movies, you know, some bad things happen, and then they try and fight against, you know, the sharks or whatever. But it was, and I've only seen it once, but I do remember I liked the movie, and I do remember it being a good movie, and I can't go into too much detail without spoiling it for you, but the movie was one of the best shark movies I have ever seen, and for that reason, it's at number 3 on my list. Now, number 2, I have the movie that came out in, I think, 2016, 2017, somewhere in there, starring Blake Lively, and that's The Shallows. The Shallows is basically, she goes to another country, she gets trapped on an island, well, a rock in the middle of the ocean, and has to fight off one angry shark. I mean, this thing is vicious, it's angry, and you'll find out why if you watch the movie. And I do recommend you watch the movie because it was a good movie, and you can tell it's number 2 on my list, so it has to be a good shark movie, because as somebody who is a fan of sharks and who loves sharks and studying sharks and stuff, this is the kind of stuff I look for in. Sure, it wasn't, you know, perfect. No movie usually is. And sure, it had its flaws when it came to the way that the shark behaved, or the way that, you know, sharks would chase after people or whatever, because that's not always true. Sharks don't, you know, chase after people and all that. But overall, for the action sequence, the amount of, I don't want to say like brutality, but the amount of like horror, if you will, within the movie, where like you were on the edge of your seat waiting to see what happens. You know, there's a scene in there where it's like, is she gonna make it? What'll happen to her? You know, and the ending is kind of a surprise. So I recommend you check out the movie if you haven't already. I really enjoyed the movie. I know some people didn't. They said it was kind of a mediocre movie, but I really like the movie, and that's why it's number 2 on my list of movies. Now, number 1 is self-explanatory. Probably the greatest shark movie ever made. Came out in 1975, I think, or maybe earlier, and that's Jaws. Jaws is a movie that, to this day, for me, still holds up in comparison to a lot of other movies. I mean, I love this movie. I have the Jaws theme song as my ringtone on my phone. I quote this movie all the time, and this is literally probably the best movie I have watched, other than like Star Wars. But this is like, if I'm putting in a movie and I want to watch a shark movie or something, I'm going to Jaws. No matter how many times I watch it, it's still a fantastic movie for its era that it was put out in 1975. This was a good movie. And you didn't really have any movies like this back in the 70s. Not that I would know. I mean, I wasn't there. But you wouldn't really have, you know, movies like this and Star Wars were like the trailblazers of the 70s. So the fact that to this day people still watch this movie and it still holds up in comparison, and it's just overall a great movie. Sure, it might be unrealistic in some aspects, but it's also realistic in some aspects. And the whole storyline with, well, if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to go too in depth, but there is a scene where the mayor of Amityville, or Amity Island, sorry, not Amityville, that's a different movie. Amity Island is pretty much a scumbag, and he says, you know, we're keeping the beaches open even though the shark is attacking people. And then in the end, he ends up getting, like, because he doesn't want to believe that there's a shark there because that would be bad for business. But in the end, I guess he kind of ends up believing in the shark being there. So I don't know. You'll have to watch the movie to find out. But it is really a good movie. I love Jaws. Not the crappy remakes, not the sequels to it. The second one wasn't bad, but the third and fourth one just shouldn't have even been made. But the original Jaws movie is my overall #1 favorite shark movie ever made. I don't know if you agree with me. You don't have to agree with me, but this was my list of my top 5 favorite shark movies, and I wanted to do this again because it is Shark Week. I know it's kind of later in the week for Shark Week, and overall, if you haven't watched Shark Week or you haven't seen any of these movies, I recommend you check out Shark Week on Discovery Channel. There's always some interesting stuff, and you learn a lot about sharks. No, this isn't, I'm not being told to say this by Discovery or nothing. I just really enjoy Shark Week, and I like all these movies. So if you haven't checked these out, go check them out. Stay tuned for other videos on this channel if you want me to do more stuff about shark movies, or if you want me to talk about sharks, whatever. If that's something you'd be interested in, leave in the comments below what kind of stuff you want to see going forward. If you want to see more about shark movies, if you want me to do reviews on these movies so that you guys know what they're about, if you want to check them out. But overall, 5 great movies here. There was, I've seen a lot of shark movies, and it wasn't that hard to choose which 5 to pick because a lot of them aren't that good to begin with. But these 5, I truly do think that you should watch at least once in your life if you haven't already. Especially Jaws. If you're going to watch one movie from this list, watch Jaws. It is a fantastic movie, or a fin-tastic movie, if you will. So, anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Make sure you like this video, leave a comment on what you want to see, or if you want to see movie reviews on this, and let me know if you agree with me on my top 5 picks. If you think something else should be here, if you think one of these shouldn't be in the top 5, if whatever your opinion is on my top 5 favorite shark movies, let me know what your favorite shark movie is if you've watched some. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.